If you'd like to add a fence is a really cool thing to add. I would suggest that you add it on the side with the trees and not with so many of the buildings, because it will end up blocking a lot of the buildings. So to make a fence, you need to determine how tall is the fence going to be. So think about sort of where the door edge is. We don't want it to be that tall. So I'm going to go to my vanishing point and draw a light line, because this is going to be the top edge of my fence, and eventually it's going to get erased. The next thing I'm going to do is draw the slabs of the fence. So we could say that this is a wooden fence, and it's just got wooden slabs going all the way towards the vanishing point. So some of these slabs are going to be the in-between slabs, kind of every other one. And those ones we're going to actually be able to see through, because they're the in-betweens. You can see, of course, I'm getting smaller, closer together. The slabs are getting closer together as they get closer to the vanishing point. You can also see that my ruler is perfectly vertical. It's totally parallel to the edge of my page. And I'm using my eyes just to keep making sure that it's still perfectly vertical. So there we have the basic of the fence, but we're going to erase the in-betweens. So choose which one you want to start with. So we'll say this is solid. So if this is solid, we can't see through it. So I got to erase the tree through it. But the next one is going to be clear. So what I'm going to do is erase the top line, but make sure we can still see that tree through it. Okay, the next one is solid. So we erase anything that's going through it. It's not see-through. The next one is an in-between. Okay, the next one is solid, so we can't see anything through it. The next one's an in-between. We can see the edge of this tree and all the texture in it. Okay, the next one is solid. We can't see through it. Next one's an in-between. We can definitely see through it to this tree. Solid. Cannot see through it, so we've got to erase anything that's going through it. In between, so there's no bar along the top. So just continue. It's every other one, right? Every other one is going to be either solid or an in-between. As you get to the vanishing point, it's really quite hard to tell which one's a solid and which one's an in-between. That's okay. They're so far away, sometimes you won't even notice. So what's holding up these wooden fence planks is usually some sort of bar that runs across them, and that's going to go in the in-betweens. So I'm lining up to my vanishing point, just like I did to determine where the top of my fence was. And I'm going to draw a bar in all of the in-betweens. So the ones that are see-through, the ones that don't have a top, are my in-betweens. So I'm skipping all of the ones that are solid. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to slide it down a little bit, because usually that bar is like wooden and not just a wire. So there's two pieces to it. Okay, and as I get to the end, it kind of just looks like one piece. Okay, and then the bar that connects them is also solid. So you're not going to be able to see the trees through them. So you can go ahead and clean that up. So there we have the basics of creating a fence. If you wanted to, you could create the little sort of triangles that go on top of them. To do that, you would do the same thing you did to create the top of the fence. You just line up to your vanishing point, slide it up a little bit, determine where the tops of the fence are going to be. I think they call them pickets, and draw a line. And then each little triangle should fit underneath that line to the edges of the solid pieces of fence. Like so. This is just something optional you could do. Maybe you've got a different kind of fence, and that's fine. This is just an idea. Okay, and once you've got that, you can erase the line that you created to determine where the top of the pickets would be. And you're also going to erase the line that was our original top of the fence before we added the pickets, because we don't really need that line anymore. Usually the pickets are part of that slab of wood. So this line here that sort of divides the triangle from the slab of wood there, we can erase that. And they almost look like crayons now. Okay, and there we have our fence. And of course, we'll still have to go back and polish up some of the trees that we sort of accidentally erased, some of the texture from those trees that kind of got erased.